למושב השלישי שעוסק בעיקר בימי בית שני, אבל גם בתקופות מאוחרות יותר, את פרופסור שמעון דר מאוניברסיטת בר אילן.
תודה רבה. אחר צהריים טובים. We shall open this session in a sentence or in English. Our distinguished guest is Dr. Mark Hassler from Virginia University, which will talk about the new discoveries in el-Maqatir. It was 2 years ago, the same here. You presented also el-Maqatir with its new, very interesting discovery. So please. בעברית, האורח הוא מאוניברסיטת וירג'יניה שעובדים באזור el-Maqatir, ונשמע לפני שנתיים הוא כבר ירצה פה, וגם השנה על תגליות חדשות. בבקשה.
Shalom. Good to see you, good to be here. And our topic for this afternoon will be the early Roman tower at Khirbet el-Maqatir. The tower is one of the largest towers of the late Second Temple period in Israel. And so I look forward to sharing it with you. We'll walk through and I'll give you an introduction to the site. We will look at the archaeological data. We will take a look then at the interpretation, and then we'll summarize. All right, the site Khirbet el-Maqatir. Yes. Oh, lights. Thank you. The site Khirbet el-Maqatir is 16 kilometers north of Jerusalem, and it is just east of the central ridge route. So as you drive up Highway 60, it will be to the east on the right, right along the way of the patriarchs. There we go. It is also along the Joppa and Amman road right here going east to west. So the site is about 870 meters above sea level. Here's a view of the site looking north. This divot right here in the ridge is where Highway 60 goes through. So as you're going up toward Shechem, you pass the turnoff for Ramallah. And then just on the right is going to be the site right near the modern village of Deir Dabuan. So these houses here are part of the Deir Dabuan village. If you were to pan to the right, you would see more of the village. The archaeological remains are in the central area here toward the west. And if we were to pan the picture to the left, you would see some more of the remains over there as well. The site was excavated for 11 years, 1995 to 2016. The first 11 years were directed by Bryant Wood, and the last 3 years directed by Dr. Scott Stripling. And Dr. Wood's focus was more on the Bronze Age remains, and he was wanting to identify the site as the fortress of Ai or Ai in Joshua 7 to 8. Scott Stripling, when he became the director, expanded the focus to not only the Bronze Age, but the other periods of occupation as well. It is a salvage operation. Ever since the excavation had began, there has been extensive vandalism at the site during the off-season, and so we've had to work through that. And then also the local farmers there had erected an agricultural structure for their olive production, for their olive trees. So they took a lot of the stones from the ruins and used them to build their walls for their enclosure, their agricultural enclosure. So a few obstacles in the excavation. There are 4 main periods of occupation at the site. MB3, the Middle Bronze III period, through LB1. At the end of LB1, there is a decisive destruction of the site, followed by an occupational gap. then a small settlement of Israelites in the Iron Age 1 and Iron Age 2, perhaps 50 to 70 in number. After that, in the late Hellenistic and early Roman periods, there's a small town, an Israelite city, about 2 hectares, and then into the Byzantine period, a church and monastery on top of the hill. We'll be focusing here on the late Hellenistic and the early Roman period. And here is a look at the late Hellenistic and early Roman city. You can see the black here, the wall is the perimeter wall, the northwestern wall. And along that northern wall are 2 fortification towers, a smaller one here to the east and the large one here in the center. And this is the one I would like to call our attention to for this session. Many other buildings and structures here in this part of the city, 3 mikvahs, mikvaot, as well as a dwelling and a public building and a subterranean industrial size olive production facility here. So a lot happening here in this area. Here is an aerial of the tower, and this is the perimeter wall, the northern perimeter wall of the city. And sticking out to the north is the tower, rectangular in shape, 28 meters long by 16 meters. So it's a massive tower. And right here along the western side is the entrance from the outside, and most of the excavation work has been along this western wall here. We opened 3 squares, and we had 2 probe trenches, one probe here and another one over here in this area. Another look at the tower here. The black is the excavated area. So we excavated 5 rooms, and here is the entrance. So these 2 rooms here, a 3rd room, and then this room as well as another room. The stairs that you see here are hypothetical. We did not find evidence of the steps, but they likely would have been somewhere along here where the tower connects to the city wall. A reconstruction of the tower, possibly 3 to 5 stories. And as you come down here toward the north, the hillside slopes downward, so the height here would be even greater than the height up against the city wall. The entrance here, as you come in, multiple rooms and thick walls on the interior. These walls, the thicker ones here, could have been 2.5, they were 2.5 meters thick, enough to support 3 to 5 stories. All right, a closer look at the excavated area here. We'll start up at the top with the entrance of the tower. As you come in, you would enter room A, and from room A there are 2 doorways into other rooms in the tower, into room B and then room C. Here in room C, you have on the western side a subterranean pit, or could be a silo or cistern. It's hard to know. We did not find evidence of plaster. There was no channeling system that we found, and we weren't able to finish excavating the pit. We had opened it. We got about half a meter excavated, and by the end of the 2015 season, we had to leave. We came back the next year, 2016, and there was extensive vandalism in the area. This wall, which was about 2.5 meters high, had been knocked down into the room, and we decided not to finish cleaning out the pit. We left it as is. Here is room D, and in the eastern corner of room D, we found in situ shale flooring. And the flooring was at the exact same elevation as other flooring found here in room E, which provided us a good confirmation for the flooring. Here is the thick wall that I mentioned, wall 204, and another wall the same thickness, 2.5 meters, wall 205. The outer walls of the towers, here's the western wall running this way, 1.4 meters thick for the outer wall. And then down here we have the city wall where the tower abuts to the wall. Here's a look looking east toward the tower where the entrance is down here at the bottom. And we have the entrance twice as wide as the other doorways in the tower. Here's a doorway going into room B, another doorway here, and down here a socket stone, a lower socket stone that we had found and left in place. There was an upper socket stone that matched it in diameter and depth that was found in this room in the rubble. You can see here with the tower stones of all different sizes used for the building construction, small, medium, and large. Some of the larger stones coming up to and even exceeding 1 meter, which you may not expect for a structure of the late Hellenistic and early Roman period. We think that some of these larger megaliths were part of the Bronze Age structure, the fortress that had been there earlier, and the builders, the ancient builders, reused the large stones for their fortification tower. Here is a closer look at the socket stone, the lower socket stone with a doorway here leading into one room, and just off to the left here, a doorway leading into another room. 2 Roman era storage jars sitting up against a wall. These storage jars both had seeds in them and other smaller vessels. Here they are in the process of excavation, and once they were restored, they turned out, we got most of them restored. The top, some of the tops here are missing, but I'd say about this high and this wide for both of these vessels. Here's a look at the subterranean pit in room C, a wide opening. We had 14 coins come out of here and late Hellenistic early Roman pottery. And this was the wall that had collapsed, that had been that had come down during the off season, and we never did finish cleaning out the remainder of the pit. Another square is part of the tower. We're looking north, and this wall 203, is the western wall of the tower, an interior wall running parallel, and the thicker walls 204 and 205 running perpendicular. You're looking at bedrock here in the middle, and this is the corner of the room where we found just a little bit of shale flooring in situ, and then over here as well in room E. Here is a closer look at the shale flooring. In the corner of the room, we found quite a bit of shale dispersed throughout the room as part of the floor, but this was the few pieces here that were best preserved in this room. All right, some more interpretive issues. Who occupied the tower and the city to which it was attached? Well, we have all kinds of confirmatory evidence that the site was occupied by ritually observant Jews. We have Jewish coins, lots of Jewish coins from the first revolt, 3 mikvaot at the site. There are ritually stone vessels used for ritual purposes, ritually punctured ceramic vessels to mark them as ceremonially unclean, and other evidences as well. Lots of bones, but no pig bones. We had 800 bones examined, and only one of them was from a pig. So, Jewish inhabited site. When did the tower fall? We can say for certain that the tower fell at the time of the first Jewish revolt, approximately 69 CE. And we know that by the coins, we know it by the pottery and the charcoal as well. We excavated about 1,200 coins from the site, And there is a consistent representation from Antiochus III all the way up to the first Jewish revolt, year 2 revolt coins, and even year 3 revolt coins as well, and a sudden stoppage. And that's a phenomenon that happens at other sites in the highlands as well. So the coins, the pottery, we had 600 pieces of pottery, diagnostic sherds examined, and 90% of them were from the late Hellenistic and early Roman periods. And that number would even increase to 97% if we were to exclude the finds from the surface and the surface sherds and the sherds immediately outside of the tower. We also did a charcoal sample at the destruction level near the floor, and that was also confirmatory of a 1st century destruction. So a Jewish occupied site destroyed at the time of the first revolt. And here is one of the coins from the tower, a year 3 revolt coin from the northern tower at Khirbet el-Maqatir. When was the tower built? There are 3 indicators. One of them is the way in which the tower itself attaches to the city wall. So here to the left is the outer western wall of the tower. To the right is the perimeter wall of the city. And this white arrow here is showing the connection of the two. And the tower abuts the wall. It does not interlock or bond to the wall. So that tells us then that the tower was built sometime after the perimeter wall. Another clue for the dating of the tower is this interesting artifact, a unique archaeological artifact. This is a city map, an ancient city map that was etched into a limestone slab, giving the outline of the city and some internal buildings. And during the course of our excavation, our artist had been drawing the walls and the structures as we had been going along year after year. And when we found this artifact, we noticed that the outline of the city and the structures matched what our artist had been drawing based on the excavations. Now, what's interesting about the map is along the northern wall, there is no tower that sticks out on the top. And so it's very possible that this map was drawn before the tower was added later. So we have a late Hellenistic city with a later addition of the tower in the early Roman period. Another piece of information that helps us to date the start of the tower is the coins again. For example, one coin was found embedded deep within one of the walls of the tower. And this coin was found by the metal detectorist, and it was mixed in as part of the mortar of the wall, and it dated to 80 BCE, and therefore as a structure wall, the wall could not have been before that. So the tower was built sometime after 80 BCE and then fell at the time of the first Jewish revolt. What purpose did the tower serve? Towers during the Herodian period had multiple purposes. Hirschfeld remarks that in the Herodian period, towers were used for defense, for dwellings, for storage and observation posts, and for other purposes. A particularly important purpose, however, was to create an impression of status, power, and affluence. And we see that at this tower at Khirbet el-Maqatir. Not only was it a defensive stronghold, sling stones and arrowheads, but we also have evidence that it was used as a dwelling as well. Cosmetic makeup applicators were found in the tower, basalt grindstones, loom weights, glassware, and other such domestic and cosmetic implements. Food and water storage was another purpose. You saw the storage jars found sitting upright against the wall. That happens at parallel archaeological sites. And the silo or cistern, the subterranean pit, would have been used for food or water as well. If you were an onlooker and you were approaching the tower, you would see that the tower was very imposing, not only being large, 28 meters on one side, and by the way, the towers that Josephus describes in Jerusalem, the larger one, Phasael, 21 meters in length, this tower 28 meters in length. So it would be intimidating, and as you were to come up from the Wadi El Gaya, if you were to approach the city from the outside, not only are you looking at the size of it, but you're looking uphill, and so it's going to appear even much larger. The tower would have been strategically located. You can see Jerusalem from the site, many different places at the site. And so this location could have been an outpost, a military outpost to protect the headquarters in Jerusalem. So multiple purposes for the tower. The height of the tower, how many stories? We know that as we've excavated, we found the heights of the wall preserved to only 2.5 meters. And so we can conjecture the height based on the parallels. During the Roman period, walls could be 9 meters high, and so this tower would have been possibly double that, which would put us in the range of 18 to 20 meters, 3 to 5 stories in height. Here's another look at the tower, 4 stories, and it could be used for military defense on the top and in the windows. There was found right inside the entrance of the tower an arrowhead embedded into the wall of the tower. So when this tower fell, a Roman archer had shot at the doorway of the tower, and his arrow hit the wall right above where that lower socket stone was, and that was part of the fall of the tower. A parallel tower at Horvat Elik. This one is 13 meters by 12 meters. It's a freestanding tower. The one at Khirbet el-Maqatir obviously is built against the wall. This one, 3 stories and used for storage in the lower levels. Another tower at Dor. This one is built up against the wall, and it has a central pillar, a central column with a staircase going around the center to get up to the top. Many parallel towers from the Second Temple period. Here are just some of them: Horvat Elik, Aror, Horvat Masad, En Bokech, and so forth. We could have 20 or 30 or more parallels, so a lot to go from. Some built into the outer defensive wall, others freestanding in the middle of the structure. All right, so to summarize, the site Khirbet el-Maqatir was in the highlands, in the central highlands. We've excavated for 14 years. The final 2 years of excavation, 2015 and 2016, workers had exposed this military tower. The tower's entrance and 5 of its rooms were excavated. The outer walls, 1.4 meters thick. The thickest walls of the tower, 2.5 meters thick. And the tower stood 3 to 5 stories in height. And we know that it fell in 69, approximately 69, right before the destruction of Jerusalem. So the Romans took out Khirbet el-Maqatir right before they went to Jerusalem and destroyed the city and the tower there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very interesting, especially the map. Very rare. One of the rare finds that we have a map of an ancient city. תודה רבה, ומה שאמרתי איזה מילה באנגלית, שתוכנית של עיר בארץ, תוכנית של יישוב מאוד נדירה, ולכן הממצא שלהם במקתיר הוא כל כך מעניין.